What's up, sports bettors? We're going to be talking about making money on Underdog Fantasy in this video. So it's a platform similar to PrizePicks. I've actually had more success on Underdog compared to PrizePicks. So right here, you can see my results, 2022 as well as 2023 from Underdog Fantasy. So this bet tracker that I use, it's called Pickett Sports, okay? So Pickett Sports, it's a verified bet tracker. You sync your Underdog account, your PrizePicks account. It'll tell you your profit and loss, hold you accountable, let you know where you can improve, all that sort of good stuff. So I always recommend whatever sportsbook you're betting on, always track your bets, right? You got to know if you're winning or losing. But anyways, the purpose of this video is not to talk about anything really aside from should you use insurance on Underdog Fantasy. So my answer is not going to be some BS answer, yes or no. I'm literally going to break down the math for you, right? So Underdog Fantasy has 2 pick entries, 3 pick entries, 4 pick entries, and 5 pick entries. Should you be using insurance or not? That's what we're going to go through. So I'm going to flip over to a little spreadsheet right here, break down the math for you guys, and explain to you everything you need to know to be Underdog. So here you can see Underdog Fantasy, and again, what's really interesting about this platform is any 2 picks you select. So you can see here, if I switch this to a different pick, you're always getting a 3x payout, right? Any 2 pick entry, doesn't matter if you take overs or unders, you're always getting a 3x payout for 2 pick entries. Then for 3 pick entries, so let's say we add in Jalen Williams over 7 points, you're always getting a 6x payout, right? It doesn't matter if you take overs or unders. That's what's super interesting about these fantasy platforms is they offer fixed payouts, right? Any 3 picks you select on Underdog, if you're not using insurance, so if you don't have insurance selected, you're always getting a 6x payout. So that's a little bit of context about how Underdog Fantasy works. Now let's get into the math. So Underdog Fantasy, really interesting because it's a fixed payout platform, right? Any 3 picks you select, doesn't matter if you take overs or unders, baseball picks, golf picks, NBA picks, whatever, you're always going to be getting a 6x payout. So this is a fixed payout platform. So what we need to do is you essentially want to reverse engineer, and I'll show you here in a second. I know it sounds complicated, but it's really not that complicated. But you need to reverse engineer their payouts to see what is optimal. So Underdog Fantasy, they're not varying your payouts based on you selecting over or under. I know I've said it a few times, but it's really, really, really important to understand. So let's just say, for the over-unders you select, you can get them right. So your win probability for each individual pick you're selecting is 57%. So you're hitting your over-unders at a rate of 57%. So, if we look at DeJounte Murray, let's say you can select his over-under 19.5 points at a rate of 57%. What you can essentially do is back out what would your ROI be for all the different possibilities if you're winning your picks at a rate of 57%, right? So let's start out with 2 picks without insurance. So 2 picks with no insurance. Actually, on Underdog Fantasy, I don't even think it's possible to do a 2-pick insured entry. So you need at least 3 picks to do insurance. But on Underdog, let's say you're hitting your picks at a rate of 57% in a 2-pick entry. And again, the spreadsheet will be in the description. If you're winning 57% of your player props, which is pretty good, right? If you can hit 57% of your over-unders, only losing 43%, that's pretty good. But in a 2-pick entry, your ROI is still going to be negative, right? It's going to be negative 2.53%. Now, if you compare that to a 3-pick with no insurance, so in a 3-pick with no insurance, if you're hitting your picks, so if you can select your over-unders correctly 57% of the time, and you're placing 3-pick entries, your ROI is going to be 11%, 11.1%, literally just breaking down the math behind Underdog Fantasy and the way that their payouts work. So 2-pick entries are absolutely horrible, right? If you're hitting 57% of them, you're losing money, whereas for 3 picks without insurance, your ROI would be 11.1% if you can hit that same rate of 57% of your over-unders. Now let's look at 3 picks with insurance. So if you're hitting 3 picks with insurance at a rate of 57%, your ROI is negative. It's negative again. So it really matters, right? If you're placing 3-pick entries, no insurance ever. 3 picks with insurance are horrible. If you're hitting 57% of your picks, your ROI by adding insurance will go from 11.11% to negative 2.53%. Right? Now let's look at 4 picks with insurance. So 4 picks with insurance, if you're hitting 57%, your ROI is 11.11%. Whereas 4 picks without insurance, your ROI is only 5.56%. So when you're placing 4-pick entries, you want to be using insurance, right? Your payout is higher. Your ROI is higher if you're winning the same probability of picks. So if you're hitting your over-unders at a rate of 57%, you're going to be a lot more profitable if you're placing insurance on Underdog Fantasy, right? So long story short, you can go through all these different combinations, and what you're going to see is what's optimal on Underdog Fantasy is 3-pick entries, no insurance, 4 picks with insurance, and 5-pick entries also with insurance. So 3-pick entries, no insurance, 4-pick entries with insurance, 5-pick entries, it's pretty close, but technically you want to be using insurance when you're playing 5-pick entries. And you can go through all the math. It's all going to be just in the spreadsheet in the description. Hopefully this video is helpful. It may take you a few minutes, to wrap your head around, but long story short, never play 2-pick entries, right? You're getting killed compared to 3 picks with no insurance. So hopefully this video was helpful, and let's get to it. So anybody ever giving out 2-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy has no idea what they're doing, right? On Underdog Fantasy, there's really only 3, maybe 4 type of entries that you should be submitting. And it's 3 picks with no insurance, 3 picks with no insurance, 4 picks with insurance, and then 5 picks, it doesn't really matter with or without insurance, but 3 picks, no insurance, 4 picks with insurance, 5 picks, it doesn't really matter. It's pretty marginal, but with insurance is slightly better for 5-pick entries. So hopefully this video was helpful. Now go make some money off Underdog. Take every dime from these greedy sports books.